Mr. Incarcerated was a childhood friend of mine named Scott Davis, and he basically was one of the people that was, always in trouble and just kind of went down the wrong path. And right out of high school, throughout high school, of course, the juvenile issues, of course, along the way, but eventually he ended up in the big house and doing hard time. And he spent pretty much his whole adult life in prison. He'd get out for sometimes 6 months at a time and end up right back in the system. So I just started calling him Mr. Incarcerated because he was always in prison. And he actually died. He got out and was out for about a year, and he was doing the best he had done the whole time that he'd been dealing with this as an adult. It seemed like he was really getting things on track. Then he died in a motorcycle crash, I believe, in 2014. Well, what are your opinions about Spotify?
I don't know. I don't really work with it that much. This is kind of new to me. So
Spotify is good because it lets your music get heard. Like anything on the internet, it's good because it can get out there. People can hear it. It's good for exposure. It's financially, it's bad for every musician. It's because people get to hear it, but it's free because it's to the ear, and so it's like it's great. People love you and want to tell you how much they like it and everything else, but nobody even has to download a single song for $1 now. When before it was, people liked a song back in the day before any streaming or internet services, and people would actually go out to buy the whole album to hear the one song they liked, and that made a big factor in record sales. If you had one song that was a hit, people bought the whole CD and then liked the rest of the songs if you were good enough to put out an album like that. And then it came to the point, obviously, where you could download a single song and you get a buck here and there. And now it's streaming, so everybody can hear everything for free. So, it's pros and cons to everything. It's good because it gets out there and people can hear it and the music's meant to be heard. It's the single because, as we were just talking about earlier, it's the link between the debut album and the music that's to come. Because that's the first song that's out that incorporates the keyboard and the elements, the darker elements that we're going for with the future writing direction. But pulling that darker element and fattening up the sound instead of just the strict heavy metal, 2 guitars, bass, drums, vocals kind of scenario. By adding the keyboard, it really opens up a whole new world of audio and creates so much more depth in the audio itself and possibilities. And so that's why that one was definitely put on there like that. The song itself is basically about suffering, where you want something else and being kind of outside looking in. It's dealing with tragic loss, and it seems like you're walking in this very dark path of life. And all of the things in the lyrics that are very personal to me and things I experienced and deal with along the way, and struggle and loss along the way. So it's that's mainly what that's about. The release date has been pushed back, so now there's no current release date because there's been some setbacks in other ways, but we're still moving forward with that. Pretty much by the end of summer, maybe September of this year, but that's not going to actually happen at this particular time now. So there's no exact set release date on that one yet.
Like Titus says, it's things that are being done toward the goal of, the next show, being able to release the album, play the new material. So those things over this last year, 9 months have been where more of our efforts have been putting into, things behind the scenes for stage production, artwork, as opposed to doing local shows. We've been putting work into the other things the band needs to actually do what we've been seeing as how we want to present Crimson Rain on the next stage, the next show.
Well, I walked into the band actually to be the keyboard player so I could cover all those keys on Darker Side of Life Live. That's why I was here in the first place, and now I've sort of morphed into being the bass player. So I'm still kind of in catch-up mode. I'm still kind of getting myself into the material and being able to just hold up my end of the bargain here in the band and everything, catch up to Titus. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment right now. Once I get caught up to all that, then I can go and have some sort of voice in the future direction.